Everybody to Park Lane podcast, episode number 59. Spurs are still top of the league and Spurs are still unbeaten. We've got a lot of people in the chat today, so we'll give a shout out to you all in a minute. But just to remind you all, my name's Luke and I'm joined by my fabulous co-hosts. As always, Kallum, I'll let you go first. How you doing, buddy?
I'm all good, thanks, mate. Once again, a win to win. So we are back and we at least are happy. Apart from H, who always looks like that, so no different there.
Exactly. H is on his holidays. How you doing, mate? You good?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm great. Sorry, Kallum, since you had that little dig, first goes worst and second is the best. Great to be back, actually. I enjoyed the live watch along. I tried to watch a little bit of it. Great game, great result. Top of the league, still unbeaten. Callum's still bottom of the FPL table and technically bottom the score prediction table. So, yeah, my life, everything's going well.
Amazing. And Winnie, how are you doing, mate?
All good, mate. It seems like there's been, after the international break, we were gagging for football, and then it just seems like loads of football just happens all at once. But we've got a lot to discuss, but positive things.
Exactly. And if you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel either. And also make sure you are following on our brand new WhatsApp channel. So if you're on WhatsApp, you just need to hit the middle button on WhatsApp and then just search Park Lane Podcast and you get all your updates from us straight to your phone through WhatsApp. So give a shout out to loads of people in the chat today. So Jay, who obviously clearly didn't change his clocks last night because he arrived at 6:23, saying good evening to everyone in the chat and to the panel and to also Barney. And Barney said evening to you all. And we've also got Thomas, who goes the pseudonym of Haley. So, Thomas, hope you're doing well. He said, evening, everyone in the panel and in the chat. And our good friend, Johnny. Johnny is here as well. And he said, I salute my fellow deluded friends. Right, let's crack into that result. So, Friday night, bear in mind we played Monday, straight into a Friday night game. All the pressure, in my opinion, was on Spurs to keep showing up, to keep grinding these results out, and we ended up winning 2-1 against Crystal Palace. And temporarily 5 points clear at the top of the league, but as of now 2 points clear at the top of the league, which is still a happy and healthy place to be. Winnie, give me kind of like your real quick overall thoughts on the game in general and how you think we're coping with this pressure.
Yeah, it was exactly what I expected. Palace had no real interest in trying to attack us as such. They were happy to just sit there and let us try and break them down because Tottenham of old, everyone knows we struggle to break teams down that just sit on the edge of their box. But yeah, so it was exactly what I expected. We got quite a lucky break to open the scoring, but it was deserved, and then obviously topped it off with a brilliant move. So it was a game that I expected. Well, as you know, by my prediction before the game, it was that I expected us to maybe slip up, but we didn't. And, like you say, we went 5 points clear. So it's all good.
Exactly. Barney has said Spurs are the real deal. Palace was a big potential banana skin and you passed that test.
Yeah.
Johnny has said, I think Spurs is a contender right now, fourth favourite for the title. Why not? Classic Johnny. And then Dave's daughter, Rihanna, has just said, hey, guys. So welcome to you. Also, Kallum, give me your thoughts on the lineup because, Udogie had what they call fatigue, right? So a bit tired in layman's terms. And Bissouma was obviously out. No, was back, sorry. So he replaced Højbjerg, who came in for the Fulham game. I'm getting so confused all these games. And then Ben Davies came in for Udogie, but then was pulled at half time. What were your thoughts before the game of those two players? Well, obviously Bissouma coming back in, but Ben Davies at left back.
I think when you base it on how Bissouma's early season form has been, you would probably 9 out of 10% 9 out of 10 times expect him to come straight back in after a suspension. But Højbjerg actually had a good game on Monday, so I'm probably would have left it as it was, because as we'll probably discuss later,
Oh, yes.
Zoom actually wasn't that great on the night. But I think the biggest one was definitely Ben Davies coming in through Doggy. I think that it wouldn't have been what I'd have chosen. I'd have either played maybe Emerson Royale that side, or maybe Porro, because obviously, as we know, the inverted fullbacks always change over anyway, because you could see that Davies is so off form. He didn't look fit, and he offered nothing on the night. So I think, I think it's what we kind of expected, but based on how it went, not what we hoped for, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And like it is difficult to like have a player who hasn't played really all season in that position, whose main job at Spurs has been as a left back. So he's played at times the left wing back, and now he's being asked to play in a kind of one-off game as an inverted fullback. I feel like you are asking a lot for him, and he really didn't offer anything. As you say, why not just bring in Emerson Royale, who's already played in that position for the end of the Fulham game when he came on through Doggy? And yeah, I don't really understand it, but he was pulled at half time, and fair play to Big Ange for doing that. But Harry, early on in the game, Spurs started slow. Ange did say it would be difficult to play at Selhurst Park. He said, assuming he's got a smaller pitch, stands closer, whatever kind of bullshit excuses they always give. But there was a real key moment from Van der Ven where Will Hughes, who probably is the slowest man alive, broke through, and then Van der Ven turned on the afterburners and came and caught him up. But just shows what a real player he is and how unbelievably fast he is.
Doesn't it just? What an excellent signing, an excellent partnership he's formed, with Romero. And when you get the likes of Arsene Wenger come out and talk about how good of a signing it is, you just know how good it is for someone who was at Arsenal for a large period of time to come out and say that. He's been excellent. I think Liverpool would have, in particular, really missed not going for him, because you think of a partnership with Van der Ven and Van Dijk. Here you go, I can save myself there. When Van Dijk goes, being Konate, whoever it is, they could have done with Van der Ven. Too many players sound like Van der Ven, but no, he's been excellent. Great start to his Spurs career. I'm hoping this can continue. I wouldn't say I'm worried about him in the first game against Brentford, but I had some doubts. How he could cope defensively, how he could even deal with it. He's high up against defenders with that turn of pace, but he's got the pace, he's got the aggression. He can deal with any kind of player. There's not one player, if you said to me, who are you worried about going up against? There isn't really anyone, because I know that our centre-back partnership and our defensive units, if you like, will sort it out. So, yeah, excellent partnership. And he was excellent once again. His turn of pace. It's good to see other fans and Tottenham fans finally recognising how important Van der Ven is.
Yeah, 100%. I think I agree with you in that sense. Against Brentford, he was, bear in mind, right? Let's just be simple about it. He came in after being at the club for 3 days and was expected to come in and do, miracles, right? But he did look a little bit kind of dodgy on the ball, I felt like, and a little bit kind of stumbly at times. But the way he grew into that in that Palace game is absolutely, outstanding. I think some of the last-ditch defending he did was absolutely immense. And Winnie, I'll come over to you, but quickly, Jay has said that he's having a little bit of an issue with his YouTube. So if anybody's having an issue with their YouTube, because I can see the numbers going up and down like crazy, just let us know in the chat. It should sort itself out soon. But anyway, I want to talk to you, Winnie. Weirdly, it's come all the way around to your question, and I want to talk about Big Vic because he made 2 really good early saves, and I know against Fulham as well, he pulled off a really good save from a header, and he's just really showing why he's currently the best keeper in the league. And I'm not even trying to exaggerate in this. Statistically, he is the best keeper in the league, and he's got the most clean sheets and the most save percentages as well. So even though you can turn around and say, oh, well, the defenders are the why he's keeping a clean sheet, he's also got the highest higher stats. So it's just amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, he's like it. It's difficult because obviously at the time he was dubbed as the cheaper option. But look, sometimes you have to take these risks. And I suppose you know what? I suppose for where he came from and how unknown he was and the money we paid, it was a risk. But sometimes risks pay off, and you know what an absolute gem we've got in Vicario, and it's the same with Van der Ven. I mean, I know the fee was significantly larger than it was for Vicario, but it was still, you know, it was still quite small and a bit of a gamble, really. If you were looking at tap sober money, we were looking at about 50+ million. So we just seem to have dropped on very well with our recruitment recently. You know, your Doji coming in, we knew, I mean, I say we knew, I had an idea he was going to come in and be a very important player. I didn't think he would adjust so well. But yeah, so Vicario, he just seems so confident. Everything you need in a keeper, he's, you know, his ability with his feet is very, very good. And you kind of match that with also an excellent shot stopping ability, and aerial ability is not bad either. So he seems to have, you know, I don't want to just big him up too much, but he seems to at the moment have like the full package for what you want in a goalkeeper, especially a Premier League goalkeeper. So look, long may it continue. And look, what we need to keep our feet on the ground, because there's going to be a point where Vicario gets the ball at his feet and he plays a dodgy pass that goes straight to their forward.
Yeah.
They run through and score. It's going to happen. We see it happen in the Premier League most weeks, if not every other week it happens to someone.
Yeah.
So what we need to just not get on his back when that happens. And we need you know, hopefully if it's at home, we can get the South Stand screaming behind him. And if it's away, obviously our away support is fantastic anyway. So no doubt they'll get behind him as well. But as of yet, there hasn't been anything, and hopefully there isn't anytime soon.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that, Winnie. I think people are still having issues with YouTube, so keep trying. Refresh your browsers. There seems to be an issue with YouTube, so you know, we'll try and keep going as best we can, and keep putting your comments in to help us out. But Kallum, I want to come to you next and talk about kind of the first half in general, because we've talked about it a few times on this show, you know, how Spurs start a little bit slow. And then there's been games where we started a little bit faster. And then again at Crystal Palace, I don't think the low block really helped. And it kind of means that it has to be slower passes across the back and then make quicker passes in the transitions. There was a lot more kind of balls that were trying to be played directly through the middle again. But we go in at halftime 0-0, and you start thinking, is it going to be one of those nights again?
Yeah, exactly, mate. I think when I was watching it, it's apart from maybe the Sheffield United game, it's the only game that has actually bored me this season. Sit there watching, and I think I switched it off to go and do myself some dinner at some point in the first half, just because I was seeing long balls, I was seeing just anything and everything. We were trying to beat Palace, and Palace had nothing about them, but they knew just sit there and just suffocate us, because we was trying through the middle, wasn't happening. Basuma looked clueless. Sarr was trying stuff, but was being just marked out the game. There was nothing from our forwards. Richarlison has once again had a really poor game for me as well, and he never did anything to sort of inspire confidence as such. And the whole of the left-hand side was the worst it has been for us this season with Davis and Richarlison. So there was nothing to sort of inspire me to think that we would have gotten anything at that point, I would say, for 45 minutes.
Yeah, I know. I completely agree with you, Kallum. And I'm actually going to, funny you said that, because I'm actually coming to Harry next to talk about Richarlison, because I think he's probably got the worst touch of any Brazilian player that's ever played on planet Earth. I genuinely, I'm astounded at how bad his first touch is. Like, you know, and I want it to work out for Richarlison. I really do. But I genuinely, after the Palace game, I don't see him getting back into the team. I think Brennan Johnson starts against Chelsea, and I think he will continue to play ahead of Richarlison. But, you know, only time will tell. Genuinely, what are your honest thoughts, Harry? I want to know.
Listen, I'd love to sit here and go, Richarlison's fantastic. He should be in the team. He should be in goals because he isn't. But I think the effort is there, and the what he's bringing to the team for me anyway is really clear. I thought against Palace, he looked for me. They wasn't fantastic. The first touch isn't there. His passing was neat. He's getting in good positions. I continue to say, I think this season he has been. Obviously, you've got some players that really stood out for us, but in terms of all-round contribution, for me, he's up there and what he offers to the team. Because it's someone who has to do the unrecognised dirty work, and for me, that is Richarlison. I love your face, Kallum, by the way. It's telling lots of stories, it's fair to say. But no, Richarlison, for me, the only reason I think we're talking about Johnson starting against Chelsea is that he came off the bench and looked really good. Fair play to him, he looks good. But Richarlison's in the team for a reason. He's Brazil's number 9 for a reason, and that is not just with the goals. I think it will come over time, but I think he's contributing to the team, getting in good positions and looking lively. I thought he caused Joe Ward all kinds of problems all night. Well, I think one of the reasons that led to the own goal, I think that the Ward couldn't cope with the pressure. But in terms of where I will agree with Callum's shocking and dire statement, the bit I do agree with it is proper dire. The bit I do agree with it is that down the left side we looked pretty poor compared to down the right. I think that was mainly because of Davis.
I knew you. Do you know what? I knew you'd put all the. As soon as you started that sentence, in my head I was like, he's going to put all the blame on Ben Davis here.
Ben Davies, for me, he was caught too far forward. Then he jumps to the ball, doesn't win it. So did you notice how we were strong down the left? And that's where the goals came from in the second half. That's all I'm going to say. But no, for me, another good, contribution for Richarlison. I think the goals have come over time. I think we need that kind of player. So yeah, I don't understand. Perhaps you're all watching a different game, but for what I'm seeing, Richarlison's put the effort in and looking good.
What's that? That's the contribution of fuck all season, isn't it?
Well, Kallum, put it this way: he's already passed his goals and assists. I know it was low, of course, the bar's set low, but passed his goals and assists contribution. Wait, I finished goals and assists contribution from last season. We're not even 25%, the way through the season. 10 games in, I still think that we're talking about someone with confidence. Yeah, he may not bring the goals, but nobody mentions Kulusevski, who puts in an excellent shift in for the team, but at times looks really poor in front of goal. And Kulusevski's not scoring. He's putting in, for me, as important shift as Richarlison is. You've got to have these important players. You watch Ange under Celtic, or you watch any team. For example, Fulham, we went up against the other day. Harrison Reed does the dirty work for them. Doesn't get the credit he deserves. I think it was Højbjerg for us Monday night, but hey-ho. But no, I think Richarlison is a player,
Harry, I agree. There usually is a player that does that kind of work, but it's not your winger. Your winger isn't that type of player, I'm afraid.
No, but someone, I think he's contributing to the team a lot. Brennan Johnson looked good, but still, I wouldn't take Richarlison out of this team because this team is winning for a reason.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough.
After we sub him off, that's why.
Anyway, Winnie, let's talk about that goal.
Subbed him off at 2-0. Subbed him off at 2-0 and ended 2-1, Kallum. So I don't know what you're on about.
I think he was subbed off before the second goal, actually, because Brennan Johnson was the one that came
on. That's not fair.
He made the header. But anyway, ignore me. What do I know? Anyway, so Spurs go 1-0 up. A little bit fortunate, but, we take these things, don't we? Maddison, gets the ball, just smashes it across the 6-yard box, puts it where it needs to go. And as Harry said, Joe Ward just kind of pushes the ball with his feet into his own net. At that point, are you kind of thinking, okay, this is what we needed now because Palace have to come forward and that's just going to create more space for us?
Yeah, it was a weird one. I mean, it was slightly fortuitous, as we said before, but you've got to put the ball in that area. Maddison is the type of player that would just do that because Maddison's a very, very clever player and he knows if he puts it in that box, it could come off anyone. And end up in the back of the net, and that's what happened. So look, we kept plugging away, and I remember Ange, his interview after the game. He said, it was a different test for the boys today. We had to remain patient when things wasn't going our way, and just keep plugging away, and that's exactly what we did. And in the end, we got our rewards from it. So look, it's like you say, it's a weird one because. You said obviously now they would have to come out and kind of attack and get us and try and catch us on the break or whatever and then create some spaces. But that's the exact opposite of what they did, which I'm sure we'll talk about But in terms of the first goal, Maddison put it exactly where he needed to. And I mean, even if I'm Joel Ward there, I'm probably not going to get a touch on it for that reason, because it was coming in at so much speed. Even if there was an attacker in the box, they would have done well to get a touch on it to divert it into the goal. But he made that decision and absolutely fluffed it into his own goal. And that for us was huge, because who knows what would have happened after that if we didn't find that breakthrough.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Probably would have ended 0-0, to be honest, or we may have even lost the game. I genuinely believe that. But Kallum, it's a bit of a shame, actually, because I wanted Winnie to answer this, because he was the one in the chat that said how incredible the goal was before I even got to see it. But the second goal for Spurs was, I've just written down, champagne football from back to front. It was just incredible. Before we talk about that, I want to add this to you as well, Kallum. How funny is it between Vicario and Christian Romero, where they spent, I reckon, about 5 minutes just passing the ball back to each other? I genuinely, on my IPTV, sorry to Sky Sports, but my IPTV, I was going backwards and forwards on the channels to make sure it wasn't just skipping and repeating itself, because all it was doing exactly the same thing. But anyway, after that kind of little dilly-dally, the ball just gets knocked around between the fullbacks and Porro and the midfielders, and then it gets whipped across the other side of the pitch. Brennan Johnson gets a little head on the ball. Maddison into Son, and then Maddison scores. But it's just fabulous team football, wasn't it?
Exactly. So yeah, going on the first bit, what you're saying about Vicario and Romero. When you think the Palace last year of having Eze, Olise and Zaha, people wouldn't dare to do that in front of them, because you would, and even with how good our defence has been this year, I think we would have definitely struggled if them three were playing against us, because there's no doubt they are class players in their own right. So to actually have the audacity to take the piss out of Palace and do that, I thought was quite, not disrespectful. I thought it was quite confident, but quite a bit of a middle finger up to Palace, as if to say, you ain't done nothing. So we're just going to have a bit of fun, play an academy game, bit of passing around on the training pitch, all of that. But the actual lead up and the build up to the goal showed Ange's style at its best. If everyone's on the same wavelength, that's what you can achieve. And it just fell perfectly. All of the play, all of the passing, everything fell into place as you would want it, and it was amazing. But how Palace allowed us to play like that when they had so many defensive players is ridiculous. We just walked it past them at points, and then Son just getting that peach perfect pass to him from Madders was Madders into Johnson, and then Johnson's getting Son was brilliant, and such a good finish that we're all proud to see as well, mate. You can't fault it.
It was a good header as well from Johnson. Funnily enough, that was the best part of the entire move, and it was probably the least champagne part of it. But what made me laugh a bit earlier than that, which I forgot about until just then, was that Brennan Johnson was at the back post with an open goal to head the ball in, and for some reason he decided to head the ball back to the yard box. I don't know why he doesn't just head it in, but anyway, at least we know he can head the ball, which is always...
Richarlison would have scored that.
Yeah, probably wouldn't, but yeah, I did listen to the after interview with Sky Sports and Big Ange, and he basically just said, well, like, if they aren't going to press us, then we might as well just hold on to the ball. Like, and that's all they did, was they just took the piss and just passed it backwards and forwards and said, right, come and get the ball. And they said, no thanks. And we went, all right, then, no problem, because we're already winning. So we'll keep the ball. But it did get a little bit, I wrote again, just squeaky bum time was what I wrote down for the last kind of, I want to say 10, 15 minutes. There was a lot of added on time in this game. Look, we can debate whether IU, handled the ball before.
It's not debatable.
Absolute hell of a finish from IU for the goal. Game ended 2-1, so it doesn't really matter anymore. But we can debate whether it wasn't a handball. But I just couldn't believe when they had a free kick in like the last minute of the game, and we had the highest line that I've ever seen of a Spurs team in probably the last 15 years or even more, ever. And they decided to be offside from it. Plus, they started like Joachim Anderson just started fucking bulldozering everyone and trying to get himself sent off. And it was all just a bit scrappy towards the end, Harry. But
yeah.
How did you feel after that IU goal?
Very, very frustrated because Vicario, for me, deserved that clean sheet. But not only that, you know that come the end of the season, whether you want to get carried away or not, it's completely up to you in terms of our aims this season. But let's just go be realistic and say the top four battle, because we've got a load of excellent teams, who will be in this top four battle with us. Goal difference could have a massive part. Liverpool beat Forest 3-0 today, so that's massively improved their goal difference. City beating United 3-0. Villa, again, 3-1. Liverpool's goal difference was, already strong. So Arsenal won 5-0, for example, as well yesterday. So for the goal difference is frustrating. It was a really tense ending. No need for it either because we had control for the majority of that game. But I don't want to take anything away from the IU strike because it's an excellent strike, but it's one that you look at the rules of the game, it shouldn't be allowed. It rolls down his arm, therefore changes the direction of the ball, takes it away from Porro, and that's what results in the goal. Yes, it hits his chest first, but when it rolls down your arm and has this much of an impact, it doesn't, it shouldn't even be considered. But luckily, it didn't have a big enough impact, but it's still a very mistake. It's inconsistency again that we're still seeing. But yeah, Luke, not the ending we wanted. But that shows, I think there's still that little bit of, sadly, a little bit of mentality that we had last season in terms of Porro switches off at the back post and we make it really nervy towards the end and putting the ball out unnecessarily. So yeah, not happy with the ending at all. I mean, Ange can speak for himself. I'm sure he's not happy. I've only listened to a little bit of the interview. So yeah, once again, in terms of the whole game, a slow start and a slow end. So this is worrying when we've got Chelsea coming up next week, City coming up as well in the next 5-6 weeks. So being honest with you, out of nowhere, I'm a little bit worried.
Yeah, fair enough. And Harry, just another quick one for you, mate. How do you feel the season's going so far after the worst pre-season of all time?
I stand by my statement because it was a shocking pre-season that we've turned around. We lost to our rivals West Ham. We had a game cancelled and we looked, I don't want to say dire, but not great. But yeah, no, I stand by the statement. I think it was the worst pre-season that any club had that summer, but it's been an excellent start to the season, Luke, and long may it continue. Great football, which I'm enjoying, fantastic results. It just feels a bit like a dream at the moment.
No, perfect, mate. And sometimes I get these visions of things that you've said, and I just have to go with them. So,
I do talk a lot of crap, so it's probably quite a few you can come up with.
It's annoying that I haven't written most of them down, but anyway.
You need a big page for that, so don't worry about that.
We're going to go through some of the listeners and Twitter followers' questions now. Yeah. So we're actually going to start with Thomas's question, kind of sort of around you, Harry. For those that don't know, Harry is organising a charity football match coming up at some point. So he's a question for the panel and a bit unrelated, but is anyone else up for Harry's charity match? Well, Thomas, many of us have asked. No one's been informed. So
I think my invite's lost in the post somewhere.
Next week, I'm announcing who's made the squad or not. Put it this way: my squad is already 2 times bigger than Connor's at the moment. But I've come to the limit. Some people made it, some people didn't. I've got a huge squad. I've worked out that I'm going to have to make 13 to 14 substitutions. So see how that's handled. Bigger squad. Done a bit of a Chelsea and Nottingham Forest here. But no, I'm looking forward to it. Some of you may have made it. Who knows? I guess you'll find out next week. But yeah, you have been ignored. Don't worry.
Jesus,
we don't see Harry next week.
And Linos.
I know, right?
Linos as well.
It's a big squad. I've taken on more players.
To be fair, I could probably only do about 10 minutes max. So
that's right then.
Before I start blowing. Anyway, so no, it should be good. And if Harry doesn't ever come back, you know why? As I've not been invited. So let's see how that goes.
There you go. Brutal.
Anyway, so this is a message from @Dan_Talkie_man, who has said, if we are there or thereabouts, Kallum, I'll come. Actually, Winnie, I'll come to you this one. If we're there or thereabouts at the top of the league come January transfer window, A, will the club spend to bolster the squad to have a crack at the title? Or is it business as usual with transfer policy, irrelevant of where we are in the league?
Second one, yeah, I don't see the club making any signings really. I mean, I don't know. I think we may try to bolster the squad with. I mean, I suppose it's injury dependent as well. If we have some sort of serious injuries in some area, we will have no choice but to recruit. But if the squad is injury free and we are there or thereabouts at the top, I can maybe see us maybe putting a little cheeky bid in for a Tony. Someone like that, but I don't really see us trying to bolster the squad too much because I feel like anyone that we may want to bring in, Ange can trust the youth a little bit more. You know, in previous years, other managers haven't delved into the youth too much, but I just think no. I think Tony's probably one, or a striker. Let's say we may dip in the market for. Other than that, I don't see us going in injury dependent, but. Yeah, no, I don't think we need to either.
Which position then? A little caveat to that. Which position do you think we need to recruit most importantly? Now, I personally think left back.
I was going to say left back, yeah, because we've got Ben Davis, who's not good enough now. We've got Ryan Sessegnon, who's made of chocolate. We've got who else? We got
Reguilon is at Man United.
Reguilon is at Man United, yeah. So he's okay. I mean, it's a weird one. Reguilon is someone who I actually really liked when he was at Spurs.
Yeah.
And it was only when he got into the final third that I was really frustrated with him because, there were so many times when all he had to do was put a ball across the box or have a shot on target and he's absolutely skied it. So for this system, I don't know if Reguilon is someone that can come inside and start playing football. And I mean, what I will say, this is completely sidetracked from what I was just talking about, but Pedro Porro in this inverted fullback role is absolutely insane. This geezer on the ball is incredible. He looks so composed and accustomed with the ball. So he's perfect for this system. But what I'm trying to say is, yeah, we do need a left back. We can't rely on Udogie for the whole season. Clearly, he's fatigued already because he missed out on Friday. So maybe some sort of issues in there. So maybe left back. That's a good shout.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Johnny said, if you beat Chelsea, you're in a title race. All my money times 2 is on Chelsea. And Thomas has said he thinks that a striker.
Can I very quickly jump in, Luke, and just want to say for me, it's got to be centre-back, a very strong third centre-back, someone like Tosin Adebayo, who's currently not getting game time for Fulham. Marco Silva has that history of, Barney can relate, Mitrovic, etc. Someone who doesn't want to be there, they do not play. I haven't seen a reason why Adebayo's not there, but it could be down to injury. But I mainly think that Marco Silva's isolated him. But listen, if we're in this position or similar to this position in January, then there has to be recruitment. I think we've signed some excellent players this summer, and our starting 11 is amazing. And I would say backed Ange and got him exactly what he wants. Incredible, top class recruitment in Van der Ven, in the likes of Vicario, was Maddison, filling all the holes to all of our problems over the years. Everything Ange could have wanted. However, what worries me is the squad depth. And I know we're at the start of the project, it would have been a lot to ask us to focus on squad depth this summer. But if we're in this position in January, considering not in Europe, it probably is our best chance. I'm going to say what to do, but to have a good season, it's fair to say. But at the same time, January transfer window is really tough. I mean, that's not an excuse. It just is. Only players who aren't wanted by clubs usually go in January unless you pay a crazy fee. So, Luke, it depends where we are. In January, it depends injuries. But do you know what I mean? If we get Van der Ven injured or Maddison injured, I fear for our season.
Yeah, no, I agree. Thomas has come in and said, how do you say Udogie? Well, I used to think it was Udogie.
I say Udogie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Harry says something else, but according to what they say in the commentary, it's Udogie. So who knows?
They're probably wrong.
Who bloody cares?
Just a quick one as well, Luke.
Yeah. What
we've all missed out on is that we can't actually sign anyone. Our squad is full. So unless you get rid of Perisic, Dyer, Lloris, Højbjerg,
that's a good point.
It's a one in, one out scenario.
Yeah.
So the only option you've got is, like Winnie said, you got to bring through youth at the moment. So unless you're going to play youth players, or if you can guarantee that you're going to give Lloris, Dyer and Perisic, who are all out of contract next summer, either a cheap transfer or a free transfer, we can't do anything. I mean, maybe Saudi will come in and put in a ridiculous offer for Højbjerg or Richarlison, something like
Levy
that.
won't do business with Saudi Arabia though, so it's not going to happen.
So that's the thing.
Really cut that off.
It's all well and good. All of us as a fan base saying we'd love Ivan Toney, we'd love anyone to come in, like Garcia and people like that. But unless we get these players out our squad, obviously we made the decision to register Dyer and Lloris. So you've got to make a choice. Do you come January 31st and say to them,
yes,
well, we're going to keep you on the wage roll. We're going to pay 350 grand a week out, but you're going to sit just in the training ground. You can come in each day, but we're not going to register you. So that, and Levy as a businessman isn't going to do that. He is, but all the crap that he gets, he's a very good businessman. He's crap with football, but he's good at business.
Yeah.
And it's bad business when you're paying 350k a week out for just say 6 months. And if you do that on a straight line projection of 350k times by just say 16 weeks, that's £5.5 million that he's going to cough up.
But then you don't get any benefit from them like not playing though, because they're not going to be in the squad. Or,
Yeah.
they're not going to play. So then you're paying that anyway.
So it's much better to pay them off and to get them off, like get them off. I don't want to say get them off the wage bill, but then you can bring players in because they're going to sit there, and we all know that unless we're going to have a substantial, injury problems in that position, centre back or goalkeeper or defensive midfield with Dyer, for example, Lloris and Dyer aren't going to get any minutes. So therefore, might as well pay the money as it is and allow to bring players in, because I don't know about you, but if Van der Ven and Maddison get a long injury like De Bruyne has got for City, where he's been out for several weeks and months, it does worry me, because I think this team is gelled together. I think Postecoglou obviously is the main reason, but it's also gelled together by players like Van der Ven, players like Maddison. You take them out of the team, and we've probably got an average team that plays overperforming, and we've got a top class manager getting the best out of them. So it does worry me when it comes to injury problems. So we've had a great summer, but for me, the next 2-3 windows, we've got to think about squad depth, because we have, not being funny, we should have a European competition of some time, of some kind, hopefully Champions League next year. So we need to prepare for this. This is something that Newcastle are currently struggling with through injuries.
Squad depth, and also you've got to be aware that from next summer, Udogie and Sarr will both be classed as over 21 now. So as soon as you do that, you then get European slots taken up, or international and non-homegrown players. So we will have the homegrown issue, which we'll have if we do get any European competition next year. And then even in the Premier League, we'll have too many foreign players compared to English or home nations players in there. So you've also got to take that into account, and any good club will be thinking about that. So if you do rip up the contracts of Lloris and Dyer,
they'll be gone anyway in the summer.
They'll be gone, but then you'll then be the two places that they'll release. Sarr and Udogie go straight in there. So then your only option is Perisic coming out of there accordingly, because then you'll have Reguilon coming back and all the other dross that we hope for that will hopefully be sold in the summer, i.e. Ndombele, Reguilon, people like that, to get off the books. If not, you then got another problem, and this is where Spurs have been so weak in the past, of flipping up contracts, getting people off the wage books, all of that.
What about Ben Davies? I thought he wasn't classed as homegrown because he's from Wales.
So he's classed as...
Norris Dyer.
Ben Davies is classed as homegrown in the Premier League.
Yeah, but not in the Champions League.
Not in any European competitions at all. So then you've got another problem. And remember, the club just signed him up to a new contract, which goes till like 2025 or something like that, about 6 months ago. So
I think it's 2026.
Yeah, so you've got problem after problem after problem in a business sense and a footballing sense. And you would hope with our new director of football in Lange coming in that he may be doing this. But Villa had this same problem a couple of years ago.
Yeah, they do.
They didn't clear out any of their old players, which they wanted to. Their chairman wanted money. If their chairman wants money, our chairman's definitely going to want money. So you've got a whole business model, which is great at the moment for a season without any cup or European competitions. January, if you can get a couple of players out, you terminate contracts, you can bring in a couple more foreign players, fine for the Premier League. But then you've then got to consider the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. And like H said, the next 2 to 3 windows are going to be crucial. But then you've got squad quotas to deal with as well. And a lot of the Premier League teams, even City, struggle for the squad quotas. You see in the Champions League, they usually go in with a 22 or 23-man squad. It's just their squad is so unreal that they can deal with anything like that. So it's a business model which actually has to be factored in accordingly across the park. And I don't think a lot of people are going to look at that when it comes to this transfer window, which we have to be aware of.
I agree, mate. Well, hopefully, Dan, on Twitter, that answers your question for about 20 minutes long. But no, I appreciate that, Callum. That's some really good information. And you are right.
Definitely.
A lot of people won't have factored into that. And when the meltdown comes, which I expect it to come in January, there's your answer. But we'll come back to you, Callum, actually. Hopefully, it's a slightly shorter answer. And I know you've kind of talked about it, but I want you to just answer it as it comes. This is from @DNWBRK on Twitter. So big up to you. He said, who would you rather have at Spurs? Ivan Toney, or Tone, as you call him, or Ollie Watkins?
Easy.
I'd actually prefer Watkins. I think just based on the style with Ange, he suits the idea. Ange doesn't want a full number 9. He wants someone who can play 4 positions. So it's Ollie Watkins, hands down.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not obviously factored out of that, but must be.
Why do you think Toney?
Yeah, I'm going Toney all day long.
Really? For what reason?
I think as an out-and-out striker, I think he's got the pace to play the same position that Son plays.
Yeah.
Right?
Toney was a good system.
I think that he's good enough in the air for crosses. I think he's strong enough to hold the ball up, to play in balls to Maddison and others like that.
That's the only thing.
Sorry,
go on. That's right. I was going to say, is Watkins good enough in the air? Because, I mean, I don't know. Any Villa fans listening, let me know. But when I've watched Aston Villa with Watkins, all the finishes have been from like excellent strikes with either of his feet. I haven't seen him score many, perhaps I'm wrong, headed goals. But I do think that both players would suit the system. But I think Ivan Toney's stronger with his head. So it depends if we're going to play again. The other players we bring in, are we going to, in some games, focus more about crosses or keep the ball on the floor and play pretty soft? Therefore, Watkins may be better.
Yeah.
I just think maybe Watkins is someone who I think I would prefer Watkins if I was to choose, but I think Toney is someone who we don't have. We have a lot of Watkins in the sense, we've got Son, we've got Brennan Johnson, we've got a lot of those little tricky players, whereas a Toney we actually don't have. So maybe I'll probably still go Watkins because I think he's very clinical in front of goal, and I suppose Toney is as well, but I haven't seen enough of him because of the allegations. So
I feel like you're talking yourself out of the Crystal Palace game again, like you did after the watch along the other day, where you bigged up us beating Crystal Palace and then went for a 1-1 draw.
No, it's all good.
But anyway, H, you might be laughing, but you're not laughing now. This question is from Thomas, who is in the chat, who has said, start Richarlison or Johnson in the next game.
Yeah, listen,
what a person to give that to.
Mate, it's just the way the questions fall.
It's funny that I'm not having that rubbish. No, but I think that Brennan Johnson, for me, had a big impact. I thought he was really good coming off the bench. When did he last come? Was it Fulham? Yeah, Fulham. He came off the bench. I thought again he looked good. Some people disagreed. I thought again Palace looked really good. That really, he could have done when Sarr played that amazing crossfield pass, the second goal, which is incredible, by the way. What a player at such a young age. Brennan Johnson, he could have done anything with it. He could have taken an extra touch, and the chance could have gone. But just the audacity and the confidence, really, to head the ball on, to not mess around and keep the attack going. So for me, Brennan Johnson gets in there because of his performance. I like the spirit that he shows. However, I think this is, whatever you think of Richarlison, I think this is his type of game where you're going to need a bit of aggression, a bit of nastiness. I'm not going to say the word I think. It's not a bit rude, it's fair to say, but we all know the likes of what Richarlison and Romero bring. And this is what you need in the London derby. Obviously not over the top. Thank you. I'm not going to say it. There you go. We saw in the Manchester derby today, over the top. We get someone like Anthony, who's deliberately tried to kick, for example, Doku twice, overreacted. For me, that is awful. So you want it within reason, but Richarlison I think could offer a lot, but off the bench. I see Richarlison as an impact player. So yeah, Johnson for me, but it's tough to admit. But he looked really good. So fair play to him.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Big up to everyone in the chat as well. We do know for those new joining us that there are issues with YouTube tonight, whether it's the system that we use in YouTube together. If you are having issues today, go back and watch it all again on YouTube afterwards, so that you can get the full experience and everything else. But we do appreciate everybody sticking with us. Keep your comments coming in as well. We do appreciate that. Okay, and then last question then, Winnie, quickly before we move on to Chelsea preview. From Thomas again, actually, lots of questions here. Would you take winning the League Cup if it meant... he changed that. He meant FA Cup, because we're obviously out of the League Cup. Would you take winning the FA Cup if it meant Arsenal won the league?
Yes.
Quick answer, Kallum?
No.
I'm not interested. I'm not interested in what other teams do. I don't
Kallum.
care. I don't care what other teams do. I want my team to do well. And if my team can win a trophy, how many league titles have Arsenal won?
A lot.
You? Yeah. Who cares? It's not as if they've never won one before and they've won one before us. They've won many.
Be a
Who
different
cares?
story if it was Arsenal win the Champions League and we win.
I don't think he would be.
They've never won that.
Maybe.
No, I don't think so.
But even still, I'd probably say no. I don't care. I want my team to do well. I'm not
This is
focused on
our
other
club, and we want to win trophies. Forget everyone else. I've sat here and gone that I really don't want Arsenal to win the league, etc. But at the same time, my club becomes before rivals, and that should be for any fans. So, it won't be nice for them winning the league.
It's a good question, but I'm going to have to say I'm taking the FA Cup and the
100%.
League.
Without a doubt.
Fair enough. Right, before we jump into the Chelsea chat, what I want to do very quickly is switch up a little bit and talk about the FPL League. So, I know, I'm going to hope to God that they've updated it by now. So, bear with me. I'll load it up on my phone.
My guess is that
they have not updated it yet. So, I'll tell you the
Callum's
scores
going to be able
from last night, apart from, spoiler alert, I've had an absolute blinder. But I'll tell you where everybody is. So currently, Jack Johnson, with his banana pancakes, is sitting number one in the league. Sorry, that was a terrible joke that no one will understand. But anyway, he's sitting first in the league, 614 points. Dave is third in the league, 584 points. Winnie is fifth, 571 points. I am ninth with 537 points. And then Harry is 11th with 497 points. And Kallum is 16th with 451 points.
How close is he from jumping up a spot, Kallum, by the way?
9 points.
9 points. That's doable, mate.
And today hasn't been updated. So depending on Martin Brennan is the one who's above you.
I'll give credit where credit's due to Kallum for someone who's, I don't know, don't ask me how, but can't remember their own parcel because they didn't save it and joined a week later. He's actually, caught up well. He'd probably finish above me, Kallum. Every single league I'm in, I seem to be either in the bottom or the bottom two. So I hate FPL.
No, fair enough. But we will, as soon as we can get the updated league, I don't know how it's taken so long for them to update it, but probably next week by now. But anyway, I had an absolute blinder, but never mind. Can't even brag about that live on air. But let's go to the score predictions table, something I can brag about. So these are the scores for the Crystal Palace game. For those who missed out, I went for a 1-0 Spurs win. We went for a 1-1 draw. Dave went for a 3-0 Spurs win. Kallum 2-0 Spurs win. And Harry a 4-1 Spurs win. Nobody got a correct score this week. So we all scored 1 point, apart from Winnie, who scored 0 points.
Don't need the points.
I am still top with 14 points. Winnie with 11, and then Dave, Harry, and Kallum all on 8 points. So it's all to play for in the Predictor League. And if you are keeping your own scores alongside us, let us know, but don't cheat. And we'll. I know Johnny plays his own game, so let's see how he's getting on. But let's move on and talk about this or next Monday's game against Chelsea.
Bring it on.
Winnie, question that Harry asked me to ask everyone before we came on air, and it's a very, very simple one. Mauricio Pochettino, are you booing him or are you cheering him?
I am absolutely booing the fuck out of him. I don't care. I really don't care. Look,
Yes.
he only. Like, I'll tell you why. He's someone who claimed that he absolutely adored Tottenham Hotspur. You know, we were the only club for him. And you know, he went to PSG when we sacked him. That's absolutely fine. And then he had the choice to go to Chelsea, and he took it. So that's not that for me. That's not someone who adores Tottenham Hotspur. So look, I will thank him for the years he gave us. But as soon as on Monday, I'm going to be sat in my armchair booing the fuck out of him. And my wife's probably going to wonder what's going on, but who cares? So yeah, I'm going to boo him, mate. I'm booing him.
Thank you.
Yeah, do you know what? It is an interesting one, definitely, because you know what I find hard is that those fans that were sat there singing his name before we appointed Ange Postecoglou are the same people that are going to boo this man. They were the same people that on Twitter started, you know, saying no to Postecoglou before he joined, and they're now the same people singing his name week in, week out. The issue that I have with this is you've either got to be one or the other, but I really do agree with you, Winnie.
Luke, that's okay to keep flipping, but you've got to sit here and admit when you're wrong, because very few people who use the no to Postecoglou hashtag are admitting they got it wrong. They've just gone quiet. So that's my problem.
Yeah, so, you know, it breaks my heart, but I completely agree with you. I think once you step that line and, you know, it's even certain things in interviews, you know, whereby he said, you know, Chelsea are the biggest club in Premier League history. You know, things like that really value. There are ways that you can change your words and there are ways to do it. I don't know if anybody saw this week the new episode of A League of Their Own. And we posted it actually on our WhatsApp channel. Gareth Bale was on there and he was asked that Arsenal were interested in him. And would he have ever gone to Arsenal? He didn't even have to think. It was no.
Yeah. I did see. I saw the clip of it. Yeah.
And that's, you know, the kind of things that you need. And yes, I understand managers, you know, fickle business. I understand that he was dumped by Daniel Levy, you know, after he wasn't given any money, wasn't, you know, invested in, and so on and so forth. But the moment that you cross that line and you start to, you know, manage one of our rivals and our biggest rivals, you know, it becomes a big thing.
Sorry to butt in. We're presuming he's still going to be in his post come next Monday, because he's having an absolute fucking stinker at the minute. And we know how cutthroat Chelsea is. They could very well sack him before then. They won't do.
I would love to batter them and then Tuesday morning wake up and find that he has been sacked. Jesus Perez his assistant's already bottled it. Let's face it. He's been suspended because of all of that. He couldn't deal with coming to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. He didn't have the balls. Let's face it. He never got suspended before, as far as I know. So, you know, it's very unlike him.
Yeah, and also I think, sorry, to finish off my little rant, was that he once came out with a quote and he said, I will never manage Arsenal and I will never manage Barcelona.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, the same thing applies to Chelsea.
Yeah,
you know, when it comes to the Arsenal and the Barcelona things, you know, because of his previous at Espanyol and obviously Spurs. So to suddenly do a big U-turn on that for a big bit of this really does grind my gears. But anyway,
let's not forget the Battle of the Bridge as well. Because that was such a pivotal moment.
He went through it all, and then he's gone back. You could see the passion was there. He was involved in it all. That's what I fail to understand the most. Is that fake? I can't. As a manager, whether I, you know, if you're attached to a club, I would never go against the club. I know he said he'd never go against Arsenal, but he knows that Chelsea is a big derby. He was at the Battle of the Bridge. He was in the middle of it, giving the pushing and shoving, being pushing and shoved. So I'm not having it. He's plain right line. And I don't know if you're going to ask me anyway, Luke, but for me, you only need half a brain cell to boo him. People saying as well, and there's also people I like saying that they want to remain neutral on it. We as fans, because I'm going myself, want to make it as toxic and as hostile as possible for any opposition, let alone a big London rival like Chelsea, that includes their manager. He'll be booed, and I think there should be a chance against him because he's crossed that line. Thank you for everything you've done, but you've gone to our biggest rivals, and don't want him back either. So it's, for me, as far as I'm concerned, it's very simple. It's like asking something really basic. Do you want a little bit of food or a lot of food? You're going to go with a lot of food. It's something like that. It's very, very simple. So I failed to understand. Maybe I don't know if it's jealousy. I don't know what it is. But you need to have a long, good, hard look at yourself if you're going to be cheering Pochettino on Monday.
Yeah. But I will let people know you can remain neutral. That is also an option. And so, we should respect whatever decision you want. Kallum, you've been sat there quietly, probably playing Football Manager as we speak. What's your, really quickly, because we want to quickly talk about the game. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm kind of like the other two guys. Thank you very much to Pochettino for all he did for us. But he made that decision to go to one of our biggest rivals. So he's an opposition manager. We have to be hostile towards Chelsea as a club. Probably not directly towards him, but a lot of it will be levied against him. So that's literally where I'm at. Aim all your hatred towards Chelsea and treat it as a rivalry like we do. Simple as that, mate.
Exactly. I think, the level should, in my head, it goes like when he comes out of the tunnel, the boos start, but any other kind of wording or any kind of other thing like that should, be left at that. But anyway, Harry's got to leave us while we continue to talk about Chelsea. So, H, before you go, can you give us your score prediction for Chelsea as you'll be at the game?
Yeah, I'm going to be bottom of the table anyway, so I might as well just go for it. Be bold, 3-2 Tottenham. I'm going as well. We're winning, and Pochettino's getting the sack Tuesday morning. Let's go for it. Full Monty. I'm loving it at the moment. But no, I'm worried about that game because Chelsea start strong. We don't. And we just made it look hard. I know Palace away is never going to be an easy game, but without their two best players, Elise and Eze, I didn't expect it, of course, to be comfortable. We made it hard for ourselves. So I'm slightly more worried than I ever have been. But I hope I'm wrong. But no, I think we're going to win. 3-2.
Perfect. And just let everyone know how they can find you and what's going on your show this week.
Oh, yeah. If you want to follow me, you can there. Harry Scarf, 22. Don't forget to subscribe to Park Lane Podcast, etc. All the rest of it. New WhatsApp group. Join FPL table and probably beat me. You could join about 37 match days later than me and still win, but I'll leave that up to you. I'm on Holly's show tomorrow night. Luke, I believe you're on with me at 7 p.m. I have my own show at 8 p.m. as well if anyone wants to check that out. Anyone wants to get involved in a charity match, head over to my Twitter or the new charity page, Charity Match for Charity, I think it's called, that I created on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. So if anyone wants to check that out and wants to get involved, raise money for the National Autistic Society, will be next year, hopefully a yearly thing. So thank you very much, Luke. It's been great. And if Dave is listening, then, was Dave on the live watch along or not, by the way, against Fulham?
No, he wasn't on there.
No,
it wasn't. I thought Højbjerg was excellent. I need to send some video over to him about Højbjerg. I need to annoy him. Weekly annoy chance to annoy Dave.
Speak to you later, buddy.
See you later. Cheers, guys.
Mate.
Bye, mate.
I don't do long goodbyes, people.
No.
So, yeah, let's move on. So, Winnie, which areas of the Chelsea team do you worry about? Are there areas that kind of you're thinking could cause us issues, or do you think that Spurs can, keep their heads and win this comfortably?
I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I suppose if they're on form, people like, Raheem Sterling, Mudryk, people like that, have got the potential to cause damage, but it depends whether they turn up on the day, because obviously this season they clearly haven't been doing that. So if I'm completely honest, I'm not particularly worried, which is a weird thing to say when we're coming up to a game against Chelsea, but I'm not particularly worried about any of their players. And I think that's purely because how well we've started as well. But I mean, I'm assuming we're going to give score predictions as well eventually, and you'll probably get from my score prediction how I feel about the game. But no, I'm not particularly worried about any player, but maybe a little bit worried about the fixture in general.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's fair enough, and that's a nice little way to keep everybody, tease everybody about your score predictions. So I love it. Kallum, are there any areas of the Spurs squad that you worry about going up against Chelsea? Areas that we could kind of get overrun, or are you thinking that this could be an easy win for us?
Should never treat any games easy, mate. I was ambitious against Palace, and look how my prediction got ripped out because of poxy VAR. But yeah, I think left-hand side would be my area of concern for Spurs. If we play Udogie and Johnson, then I'm happy. If we play Emerson and Richarlison, not so much. If we play Ben Davies and Richarlison, then I will, if we are doing a watch along, we'll be taking a leaf out of Dave's book and screaming and shouting and swearing at the TV. But yeah, I think based on how it is, I think Chelsea will play a more progressive game of football. So at least we'll get something where our style can go up against theirs compared to Palace with their low block as such. So we should be all right. But Chelsea's midfield is where my concern kind of lies. I would say that based on how they can do it, they can do everything right from defence into midfield. It's only there up front who can't score and hit a barn door from 2 yards out. So that's where I think we may get overrun a little bit, depending on whether you play Skip and Højbjerg or Basuma and Sarr, whatever. That's where we may have issues for definite, I think, against theirs.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept because, from what I understood, you're suggesting that their midfield is probably slightly better than ours, but their strike force isn't. So should we be worried about their midfield when their strike force is poor? It's a really interesting idea, and and whether actually we can cope with that because of our defensive stability or not. So interesting, definitely.
You'd hope so. You'd hope so.
Winnie, is Son the man to keep leading this line up front for Spurs against Chelsea? Think he gets some joy behind the centre backs?
Yeah, let's face it, Sonny is in incredible form right now, and he's stepped up when he needed to step up. And it looks as though it may have been Conte and his system that was holding Sonny back last year when we thought he was in this dip of form. I think the team picks itself. If I'm honest, if I was to go through it now, it's going to be Vicario. We're going to play Udogie. We're going to play Van der Ven, Romero, Porro. It's going to be a midfield of Sarr and a midfield of Sarr and Basuma with Madders, and then he's going to play Richarlison. He's going to play Son, and he is going to play Kulusevski. That's going to be the team. You can bookmark that if you want. That is exactly what the team's going to be. The whole Johnson over Richarlison debate, what I would weigh in with that is I think Johnson has been criticised previously for his work rate, especially at getting back.
Yeah.
Something that Richarlison, probably one of the only things that Richarlison has on him is his work rate. And Richarlison will get back when he needs to, and I think we've seen it before. I think it was against Arsenal, actually, because obviously Johnson played that game, didn't he? And there was one point where I think it was Saka's goal, actually, the massive deflection into the goal. Johnson could have or should have chased him back and probably did it a little bit less than he should have. So that would be my criticism there. So that's why I think Ange may go for Richarlison. But like I say, you can clip that. That's going to be the side.
Yeah, definitely. And Johnny said, so Son is that great. That means it was the manager. Conte was ... way less than Arteta. Yeah, Conte is... I don't know where you've been for the last 6 months. You have been here, but you must not have been listening because we've dug out Conte every single time we've ever spoken about him. And
Arteta's dog shit as well, by the way, but we're just going to throw that one out there.
Just throw that one out there. Why not?
Yeah.
So I kind of agree with you about that lineup, Winnie. I think that you are probably right. And, as much as our hearts want to see Brennan Johnson play, his frailties are tracking back. And in this squad, we have to have players that track back, especially... Very easy way to explain it is when you're fullbacks go inverted, your wingers need to come back. It's as simple as that. And then you said, or your centre backs can step across and your DM comes back. Either way, there has to be somebody that comes back, and you can't play in this system and just want to be up top and not track back. So I think you are probably right. Until he gains that experience and does that regularly, he won't be starting.
He may be like that now. Ange may have put his arm around him and said, "Look, if you want to start in this side, you need to do that." I don't know, but like I say, I saw glimpses of it against Arsenal where he failed to track back with Saka.
Yeah.
So for that reason,
to be fair, he actually, if you look at the picture of the Ayew goal for Palace, he was the closest player to him. He actually did track back to come after Ayew. It was a crap track back. He didn't stop it, but at least he was tracking back. So maybe
fair enough.
3 weeks he was with Ange, whilst not on international break, maybe he was doing
Hopefully.
it. Time will see.
Yeah, definitely. But, I kind of agree with you boys. I think that this should be a game that we should be winning comfortably. It should be a game that we should be winning 3-0.
Which is weird, isn't it? Because we're talking about
very, very comfortably we should be winning this game. But there's always a part of you, and I think there will always be until Spurs continually win things, which, may take a lifetime. But until that happens, there will always be that worry in the back of your mind that going up against Chelsea in a derby, in a hostile environment, against your rivals, we cannot perform. But we went to the Emirates this season already, and we didn't play great at times, but we managed to get a point. And, their goals were from, a deflected goal and a penalty.
Massive deflection.
And so, there are signs that this team, can cope with it. And let's be honest, how many players are still there that have been part of these defeats or these games that haven't gone well, or this, in fact, this Conte era? There really aren't that many kind of that played week in, week out under that. So there really shouldn't be any of that. And there really shouldn't be any fear going into this game. It should just be saying, look, we're top of the league and we're playing 12th. We should be winning this fairly comfortably. And that kind of is a really good segue into our weekly score predictions. And do you know what? To make it fair, as I'm in the lead, I'll go, sort of first this week, because Harry's already been. But out of us live, I'll go first. So Harry's gone 3-2 Spurs. So anybody that's watching live, get your score predictions for Spurs, Chelsea in the chat. We will read all of them out as we get to them. If you've already posted them, just repost them again so that we can find them and bring them up on the chat. But I'm going to go...
Go on.
1-1 draw.
You dickhead. Okay, fair enough.
1-1 draw.
Okay.
Kallum, I'm coming to you next.
3-0 Spurs.
He wants to stay at the bottom of the table, bless him.
Do you know what? Do you know what? And I'll talk about why I went for 1-1. Because I think, I went for it because I think that's what the score's going to be. But the reason why I was umming and ahhing about it before I said it is because I'm top of the league. And if Spurs win, I get 0. Do you know what I mean? I get no points. So I'm kind of really focusing on the points. But do you know what? I'm going to say 1-1 draw, which I've already obviously done. And we'll see what happens. But Kallum is really going for it this week. Do you know what I would have done, Kallum, if I was you? I'd have gone 2-0. Again, just keep going 2-0 every week and see what happens.
No, but the thing was, they got twatted by Brentford yesterday at home at Stamford Bridge. They're away from home. They've been winning a couple of games at home within reason. They've been dog shit on the road. So if Brentford can do them 2-0, we could do them 3-0. Hands down, mate. So I'm going to be ambitious. Might as well.
No, fair enough. You might as well be, mate. Johnny went for 2-2. And Thomas went also for 2-2. And Winnie, I have a sneaky feeling that you were also going to go 1-1.
No, I wasn't. Right. I wasn't. The reason why I said that is because I was hoping we would pick a different outcome. So there would be a different, a bit of a change at the top. But 2-2 draw. That was my initial thought. 8-1 Spurs. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, 8-1 Spurs, total demolition incoming. Chelsea will be humbled.
Okay, so I'm gonna go 2-2.
What's he been smoking?
I think it's a potential banana skin. Any London derby is a potential banana skin, regardless of form. Form kind of goes out the window, really.
Yeah.
So I think we are capable of scoring, kind of at will against them. But I don't know. I just feel like their players, Pochettino, the occasion might make the game a little bit different. So yeah, I'm going to go with 2-2.
Yeah, big up to Jay who said 3-1 Spurs.
Yeah.
And James Yee Paratrooper who went for 8-1 Spurs. Make sure you're hitting the subscribe button for that ridiculous comment, and we'll happily have them week in, week out. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We are still waiting on Dave's score, so I will get that from him this week. Before we finish, Johnny said, if you win 8-1, I'll shave my head and tattoo Richarlison and Son, the best in the world, on my chest. Not sure why you have to shave your head to tattoo your chest, but fair enough.
Can't you tattoo that on your head, Johnny, instead? That'd be even better, mate.
Yeah, fair enough. But that kind of wraps us up this week. We won't be back next Sunday at 7 o'clock because, once again, we will be doing a live watch-along. So we will be here watching the full game. We'll be on before the game and after. So join in next Monday. Not this Monday, next Monday, 7:30 p.m. as we probably be three of us again, as myself, Kallum and Wynnie sit through another 3 hours of Spurs, and we'll bring you all the kind of lowdown as it goes on. We're working on something this week to make it a little bit easier so we're not all miles behind of each other at the same time. So hopefully my IT man Kallum has sorted it all out, but yeah, we'll be here. We'll be back the following Monday for a live watch along. Wynnie, thanks again, buddy, for coming on. How can everybody find you?
Wynnie1991 on Twitter, and obviously Park Lane admin. But all I can say is just, if you're not already, just hit the subscribe button, because it makes a big difference. I know that's quite cliche and a lot of people say it, but it makes a big difference to us in particular, because the bigger YouTube channels and the bigger creators that have massive subscribers, one probably doesn't make a difference, but to us it makes a huge difference. So if you are watching this and you're not subscribed, it literally takes 2 seconds. Just go and do it. If you don't like us, then don't do it, obviously. But if you are watching us, then it's probably because you like us. So go ahead.
Do you know what? If you don't like us, do it anyway, because it doesn't really do anything and it helps us out. So you might as well.
Yeah. Do you know what? Just do it. If you think I'm a dickhead, just do it.
Exactly. And Kallum, how can everyone find you?
As always, at Kallum Stubbs 97 on Twitter, mate. It's always good to be on here, and I am working on some different options for the watch along, so I will be having a look and I will be keeping everyone briefed. So hopefully we'll do stuff where it's not just me with good internet and the other two with crap. So
excuse me. Who was when I eventually came on at halftime? Whose stream was ahead?
That was once, Wynnie. I went ahead 4 times after that.
Yeah, maybe you did.
Big up to August Lever as well. Oh, by the way, if you're going to join the watch along and be an arsehole, you will be blocked immediately. So don't start all that nonsense again. But anyway, let's not go on to that. Let's wrap this up. If you want to follow me, it's Luke_Park Lane. But more importantly, make sure you are subscribing to the channel. And, if you watch any of our videos, watch all the way through. Because as Wynnie said, even one new viewer, even one new like, one new subscriber on podcast, one new listen on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcast from, it really does help us out. And I do see them coming up, and I do get the notifications of who has subscribed. So, I want to thank everybody in recent months and weeks that has, and I want to thank the people that come on every single week on this channel. There's a few of you. We've not got a huge gang, but we're growing, and I want to thank you all for every week, even this week, throughout the internet issues that YouTube has been having. I just want to thank every single person that's tuned in, and we really do appreciate you all. Anyway, enough of that. We'll be back next Monday, 7:30, for a live watch along of the Chelsea game and potentially some booze from all three of us. Until next time, a big come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.